Truth.
Look, I got it all set up by myself.
I'm trying to stay on.
So all this time it was the chair and not my button. It's just short.
Too much gravity under that one.
Bids for
Sidewalk.
the community crossing?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Last one I saw.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you these bids so you can open them up.
What are these?
This is the cemetery. These are the cemetery.
Have you seen the grant?
I looked through that, so I'm ready to talk about it as well.
The one that's the local.
Because that's due at the end of the month.
Yeah, that's why I went ahead and told them to tell them because
Test. I'm gonna just set those up as a
Sure.
default.
Right.
Speaker the better.
Oh, right.
We'll correct that. That was just a scrivener's error, so there's actually not. You guys took action on that last time.
okay.
So I'm going to correct the minutes as well. Just correct it to the minutes. And then that's all right. I'm ready to take care of it. I can use that to talk about it.
Very good. Okay.
Camera on?
Not yet.
Wait for you to, because we had visitors in here this morning using our recording equipment, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna have some problems.
Okay.
Backup plan in action.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shane.
Nobody ever. Okay, here we go.
On you, Shane.
What's that?
Waiting on you.
Okay, let me put this over here.
Let's do it.
This thing doesn't want to work.
I please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, please guide our hearts and minds as we make decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Call to order the February 21st Mooresville Town Council meeting. We have a correction on the minutes that legal's going to explain.
Correct. So on page 2 of your minutes in the discussion about the global opioid settlement for the pharmacies and the Meyer opioid settlement, there's a scrivener's error in here. So under the section that talks about the pharmacy opioid global settlement, that's the one that was dealing with Allergan, Teva, CVS, and Walgreens and Walmart. That was resolution 2 that you took action on 5-0. And then the Meyer opioid regional settlement was the agreement that you executed as well afterwards for the individual regional settlement for Meyer that you approved 5-0. So on the minutes itself, what I would recommend is the amendment be you remove the statement that says Resolution 2, 2023, up one paragraph, and that should resolve, the errors.
So you're saying just to flip them?
Well, not necessarily flip them, just that one line, the small part that says Resolution 2, 2023, move that up into the paragraph above.
Okay.
And then, so the paragraph you're taking it out of will solely read, Meyer
Oh, I see what you're
opioid
saying.
regional settlement. There is a settlement that was reached.
You want a motion?
Yeah, you will need a motion to amend the minutes.
I'll make a motion to amend the minutes per the attorney's suggestion.
Have a motion to amend the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Joel,
Oh,
does he need to do a roll call vote?
Yeah, we need a roll call
Yeah.
because we have one member.
Okay, Jeff?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
I'm an aye also.
Now we'll need a motion to pass.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes
I'll second.
as amended.
Motion to accept the minutes and a seconded.
I second.
Jeff?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I'm an aye also. Unfinished business, the emergency information technology discussion. About the, email switching over to the Microsoft 365, right?
Yes.
Okay.
365 G3.
G3.
You need to pass that down.
Any thoughts on that? I know we tabled it. for
We
the
received
last
an
meeting.
email, we received an email from our, police chief, and they're still having more problems. I know that Jeff reached out and said that, I think there was one or two of the officers that lost their, email. I know the original solution was 40 seats at the police department, and I,
Technology's fantastic, isn't it? All right, Tom, you're back.
okay. Where did you lose it?
You received an email.
We received an email from our chief of police that said that we were having more problems. Jeff, you had reached out to me and said that I think it was either one or two police officers had lost their emails, and we needed to do something sooner rather than later. The original plan was to do 40 seats at the police department. I think regardless of what we do this evening, we need to address those just as soon as possible.
Yeah, we need that.
Was that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the previous meeting before last was, I think we've lost him again.
All right, I'm gonna try a different internet connection. I'm gonna try a different Wi-Fi. Go ahead, because he's on right now.
Okay, yeah, it was my understanding after sitting down with our IT people in town as well as Telemagine that we were going to upgrade everyone's license in town, every employee, to the Microsoft Government Edition, which is more secure, costs a little bit more money, $10 a month, I believe, per employee. And then there were questions and concerns about that last meeting, so that's the last I've heard of it.
There was a funding issue that we haven't resolved completely, I think, maybe. What if, since we're not on even keel with the email, what are the chances of just going ahead and starting with the police department and shifting them over to the new email and testing it out on them? Do you think we ought to all?
It would be my recommendation, we update everybody at once. That would be my opinion. That's coming from the people that knows IT. I'm not an expert in IT. I rely on their expertise, so that's what they said, and that's where I left it. I know there were some funding issues, but I think we can pay for it out of CCD. I don't know what Tommy thought. Thought we were looking at doing that and possibly later on down the road, moving this all under town hall's budget. As one, but that's the last I've heard of any of it, so. But yeah, clearly we've got to get everybody up to date. I mean, we're running on old software and we're clearly running into problems blaming our IT provider when it's not them, it's us.
Do you want a motion or discussion?
Have anything to add?
No, I'm prepared to make a motion when you get through the rest of the council.
I just think we all need to be on the same page. I'm ready for a motion.
Tom, you got any more thoughts?
I've expressed them.
Well, we're gonna have to get the police department straightened out, so yeah,
Ready for a motion? I'll make a motion that we move forward with I believe it was 40 seats at the police department, but also that we have our department heads get a count of seats that they actually need, report that to the clerk, and move forward with the rest of the town council, or rest of the town employees.
have a motion, we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second,
Chief Dalton, is there any issues with your fire department? Are you still having issues as well?
We have, I know with the administration, I switched over to talking with the telematching, that G1 to G3.
Mm-hmm.
Our software was a 2007 that we were operating off of, and with the new updates and stuff, you just can't buy a yearly subscription to it monthly now. And I'm taking that out of my budget from at least my administration right now, but yeah, I do have.
You're still currently having email problems?
Not really email problems, it's just the programs, the words, Office Word that we have to type in our documents, upload those to the states and stuff like that for the firehouse, or you can communicate them back and forth from headquarters to the firehouse.
With the 40 seats that we're going with Telemagine, does the price change since we're not doing as many seats as we did before?
My motion was to
To
include
clarify,
all
I
the
think
rest.
the motion is for
To
all.
look into, so we're doing every seat that we originally planned?
The way that I heard it was, it's the 40 for the police department plus every other seat that's needed for the town to move forward. It's just you guys need to get a report as to what that's going to be. So we need to know, you don't need a seat for every single employee. It's going to be those who have the computer, is my understanding.
Yes, the department heads will report how many seats they need to the clerk, and then that's what will be ordered.
Okay.
And I could also say not to exceed 120, because that's the total.
See, I thought that's where we came up with that number with Telemagine, because that's what they quoted us. And that's how many seats we needed. So we don't know exactly how many seats we need. We just know for sure 40 at the police, and the rest is unknown right now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't,
We had a quote from Telemagine
For
for
120.
120 seats. Do we not need 120 seats?
well, Dave said that he only needed 5, and I think they've counted how many, 10 or more seats. So I think we just have them to report how many we need.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready to vote.
I don't think you need to buy seats if someone's not using.
We've got to get everybody on the same page instead of one person has this person has that, this person has that, because it's running into problems that we're dealing with right now.
My motion would get everybody on the same page that uses a computer.
I'm in favor of Ford, aye.
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 Tom?
Aye.
And I'm an aye also. Motion passed. Next item, unfinished business, resolution, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Resolution 3-2023.
Yeah, so Resolution 3, 2023 is the declaratory resolution for Economic Revitalization Area. This is attached to the Old Dominion Economic Revitalization Area that Mr. Dellinger spoke to the council about last meeting. This is the first step in the designation. We'll have a confirmatory at the next meeting with the public hearing to consider the abatements themselves.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve on resolution 3-2023.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 32023 with the, you said the public hearing will be at the next meeting, correct?
Right, so
Okay.
this talks about having the confirmatory resolution and the advertisement for the public hearing 10 days in
Okay.
advance.
So with the public hearing scheduled next meeting.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jeff?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tom?
Aye.
I'm an aye also. On. New business, Villages of Eastmore Homeowner Association Lighting Agreement.
So in your packet is the homeowners association lighting agreement. This was drafted in accordance with the action that this council has taken regarding the willingness to pay for the standard light and lighting amount. And so that's what is in this agreement. It's up for your consideration. I know that the homeowners association is here today and want to address the council amount. So that's right.
Well, I'm the president of the HOA, and we're asking for a partial reimbursement of our street security lights. In the amount, currently we're paying $409 a month for our 13 lights, comes out to $49.08 a year. And we're asking for $2,506.92 partial reimbursement for those lights. That's what the town would pay for standard wooden pole lights.
This agreement is the same as what we've done with other housing additions, correct?
Correct. So we
You figured,
drafted this up, but the biggest issue was to make sure that it was consistent with what you had done in the past regarding the standard light, standard brightness and everything of that nature. So we based this off the information that we had on that, so.
the town requires lighting in subdivisions, so, but since I own 30 of the lots, I should probably recuse, correct? Okay.
Okay. Need a motion to accept homeowners agreement?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Second? Jeff?
Aye.
Abstention, yeah.
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I'm an aye also.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next order of business, cemetery bid opening.
The first bid for the cemetery bid proposal is from No One Left Behind Lawn Care and Snow Removal. The bid for the 2-year contract will be $857 per cutting.
What was that name again, Joe?
No One Left Behind Lawn Care and Snow Removal. Cemetery. What's that?
For both, the one on West Washington Street.
This says price below shall encompass all requirements listed by the town of Mooresville, so it's what I was putting there. Spring cleanup shall be charged as a cutting. As always, no increase in season pricing. As always, no increase in seasonal fuel charge.
Was that $8.57 per cut?
$857 per cutting. The second bid is from Adair's Lawn Care. They will do a spring cleanup for $1,300, one-time payment after task performed. Cut grass, trim around the headstones and other objects once a week for $775. And will trim in the creek side of the bridge once a month at no charge. And again, that's Adair's Lawn Care. That's $1,300 for the spring cleanup and $775 per cutting. Yeah, I mean, my recommendation would be to take these under advisement and allow Dave to take a look at them to make sure, and because they're priced a little differently, to calculate what the price would be, overall. Yes, we need that form.
Need a motion for, to send these bids on to Dave for review.
I'll make a motion to send the bids to Dave for review.
I'll second.
Motion to have a second. All in favor, well, Jeff?
Aye.
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 Tom?
Aye.
You, Dave? Next order of business is, sewer leak adjustment at 209 Bishop Street. Have a chance to look at that.
Greg, the information that came to us shows that it was repaired in the 9th month, but it still showed the bill was for repairs that took place 9/23. But then if we look at the account that Diane included in there, it shows that after that period, at 9/23, there was still a $46,000 water consumption. I'm not sure whether the leak is fixed or not. I mean, did anyone else read that into it?
Yeah, I see the same thing, Tom.
Diana said that their bill's back to average this last month.
Yeah, they've dropped it down to 20,000 gallons, and their average prior to the leak was 17. So we got a reading on February the 3rd from the water company for 20,000 gallons. So we've got 2 consecutive months that we show that their usage is lower. Just don't have the water company's meter reading report in front of you to show.
So you're saying that they're still using 20,000 gallons
Mm-hmm.
a month?
Yes. The first adjustment they received was they were billed for 22,000 gallons for 2 months, and we ended up giving them an adjustment of $113.96. And then the second one, it appears to me, I haven't spoken with the customer, but they have continued to let that water leak go and not really getting on top of it as quickly as what they should have. So, but the water company did go out and do another inspection and found that the leak was repaired again. So it could have been in another spot on a different area of the service line on the house side of the meter. So the customer is saying, since the water did not go through the sewer system, it went through the ground, they were wanting us to go above and beyond what the water company will allow for their adjustment. So basically what we did is we looked at what they were billed for and averaged it out to what their average was back in March of last year, was 18 and 17,000 per 1,000 gallons per month. I'm sorry, not last year, March and April.
So they're not, the adjustments that we did were after the 10th month?
Yes, we did make an adjustment after the water company came in and made another adjustment on January the 4th for, they were billed 64,000 gallons and they adjusted that down dollar-wise 300, well, we adjusted for $331.52. But they want the difference of what their average would have ran. And I probably, now that we're starting to get a lot of these requests, I probably need to get what the adjustment policy is for the Indiana American Water. I know for the Indianapolis Water, it's 75% above their normal usage, but I don't know what Indiana American's policy is. So maybe going forward, I probably need to get that information and share that with the council members. So they'll know what that percentage difference is that they're asking for.
I guess I'm trying to figure out for sure here, the adjustments then were made on the 66,000, the 109,000, and they're not requesting anything on the 46, or how did you come up with those numbers there, Diane? I'm sorry.
You're all right.
Is it just the total bill September to November?
The total bill, they were for September through November, they were billed for $1,151.98. Then we gave an adjustment of $445.48 per the water company's original first adjustment. For their additional adjustment, they asked for it. But they're wanting us to go above and beyond. So what we basically do, we look at what their average is, times the 3 months that the water company gave them, and base that on 17,000 gallons per month for 3 months at $349.08. So the remaining of that adjustment would have been $357.42.
Diane, you said they're back down to 20,000?
Yes, it's back down to 20,000. They were, from, let's see, the meter reading date, where's it at? December the 6th to January the 5th, they're down to 20,000 gallons. January the 5th to February the 3rd, they were billed for 20,000 gallons. So they have 2 consecutive months that their average is running 20,000. But at the time that we used the 17,000 gallons as their average, it was based upon before these meter readings were looked at. We look at the usage for the same period of time.
So this 357.42 is the amount of adjustment that you've calculated?
Yes,
And it's for the months, the overages in the months?
September, October, November.
November.
Those 3 months that we're wanting to allow for an additional adjustment for the water that did not go through the sewer system.
So that's sort of your recommendation based on a,
This is normal practice for,
okay, but you came up with that figure, correct?
yes,
Yeah,
Linda did actually.
or your office?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And it's the same formula that we use on all of our adjustments. We don't deviate from that.
Any other thoughts? To, accept the sewer leak
I'll make the motion that we accept the sewer leak adjustment for $357.42.
Second.
Aye.
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 I'm an aye also. Department head reports.
I don't necessarily have a report, however, I think I failed to get on the agenda for community crossing bid opening.
I was gonna open that in legal.
Oh,
if that
okay,
works.
that's all I have, thank you.
Hey, everybody. I just had a couple things real quick that I need to get some guidance on. Number one, I talked to Councilman Cook, and we were thinking about putting some kind of ordinance together to make the wrecker fees consistent across the wrecker companies that we use. I didn't feel like it was fair if somebody, we do a rotation. If you get a wrecker company that charges more money, with the exception of course, semi work, then I don't know what that fee would be. That would kind of be something that we might need to talk about. That way we just have, like I said, have a consistent fee for all of our tows.
So what I usually see in communities is you go out with an RFP for the record services to get on the list. And so those interested in providing services will give you the quote of what they will charge when they get called out by your department. You select who that is, and then you give the opportunity for the others to provide the services at that charge that was presented by the low bid. That way, it sets it, and they have the choice. If they're not going to make enough money off that, fine, then they don't have to do it. But
You said an RFP,
an RFP,
which
so
is,
a request for proposal.
okay.
To provide record services for the town of Mooresville on call, and then they have to have their insurance meet all of the requirements, but then they've got to come out, live by the way that you set it up for the processes, and then we know the fee that will be charged.
That's something we said or the police commission?
That would be a town contract.
Town, okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any,
Governs the offer.
is there any old paperwork that we have, have you found that where the price has already been set before? Because if I remember, right, years ago, there was a set fee.
What happens is, I guess they submit an application every year, and then they tell us what their fees are, so, in the past. But I thought
our town had said something years ago, maybe they just told them we did.
For some reason.
But yeah, it's old stuff, I don't
I'll
know.
double check on that, but
If not, it needs updated, nonetheless.
would that be something, I guess it would need to be put in an ordinance then?
Well, if you want to set the fee, yeah, we put that in an ordinance, or if you want to put it out for the RFP to have people bid on it, you don't need that in an ordinance. It'll be like the openings we have tonight, you select the lowest bidder, and then you give the opportunity for the others to get on the rotation at that price.
Joel, is this something he can contact providers directly, or is this something that has to go through a legal process?
These you will want to go through a legal process
Okay.
because oftentimes record services are pretty lucrative. And so you'll want to go out to the RFP, but you can contact all the providers that you're working with to say, hey, this is coming out in an RFP, make sure you put in a response.
Can you assist him in
Yeah, I mean,
drafting that? And you,
for some odd reason, Beth likes working with you, Chief, and she's like,
She's handled a couple of my lawsuits in the past.
she's like, if there's anything that the chief needs, let me know. I'm like, okay. But
Speaking of which was my second point, we'd like to start using her for our forfeitures. She said that she would be glad to do it. We used Garrison in the past. He has a lot, he has a lot going on, and to stick.
prosecutor up in Hamilton County now.
Yeah, there you go. So we would like to start using Beth Copeland to do our forfeitures, but she said she would need a contract, and so I thought, well, that's kind of weird because you could both work at the same.
Well, yeah, the reason why we would need, so we handle forfeitures for Vigo County, right now, all of Vigo County. it's governed by the statute, so you have to have an agreement that comports with the statute for forfeiture work. And so, yeah, if you want to do that, we would have to have that agreement in place, because it's a different percentage and how it gets distributed to the different entities and agencies, so.
So that was, you would draw the contract, or your company, or your?
We would prepare a contract for your consideration on that.
Okay. So,
Need any motions for that, or are you just gonna prepare it and present it?
Prepare and bring it next meeting.
Okay.
other than that, unless you have anything for me, that's it. Thank you.
Evening, just a few things. Our interlocal agreement came back from Martinsville. I gave that to the town clerk this morning. He said he was sorry because his attorney was on vacation, so we did get it back yesterday, or yesterday. I turned it in this morning. So we should be receiving a check from Martinsville Fire Department for that gear that we sold them. Just for the record, I did say at last council meeting, I know I have kind of had some questions about this from Mr. Williams. We are at full staff. We are, for our full-time, we are doing a process. We're just accepting applications just to get ahead of the game for anybody that leaves or lateral transfer or decides to retire. So we are back at full staffing for our full-time personnel. Also, you'll probably be seeing some pictures coming out. We did do a promotional process for a full-time lieutenant's position. With Lieutenant Hartsock leaving to go to Martinsville, we actually basically got in some outside departments to come in and do an interview board. So it's pretty much non-biased from us. We just take their recommendations. They did a scoring and structured interview with Elite Services, which is Candy Ashby, Dr. Ashby. She owns her own practice and stuff and is a battalion chief for IFD. So she also teaches classes for our fire investigations. But we contracted with her, and basically she gave us the stuff to run the process. And then we had, I think, Bargersville Fire Department and Whitestown coming in for their interviews today and did their structure interview. And we should have the results back, hopefully, by the end of the week for that, to move forward with that promotion. Other than that, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update for you in regards to our park superintendent. The park board has selected a candidate, offered and accepted for Mr. Philip Cornelius. He comes to us from Brownsburg Parks and Recreation. His first day will be March 6th, so just a couple weeks away. But we're excited for him to get going. That's all I have for you guys.
Okay, I think legal has something to add.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have a lot of stuff. We were moving along pretty good. I'm going to log us down a little bit. First thing up is the Community Crossings grant bid opening. We have one proposal from Grady Brothers Incorporated. They have the proper forms for the Form 96, the bid bond, and the E-Verify OSHA Equal Employment Opportunity requirements. The bid amount is $1,925,300. Well, I said that all wrong. $1,925,310. That's $1,925,310. My recommendation would be to take this under advisement and allow Banning Engineering to review and make a recommendation back to the board.
Jewel, say that number one more time. I'm not used to that big of numbers.
$1,925,310. 1925310. Yeah, motion to take under advisement and allow Banning to review.
Need a motion to send this bid to Banning for advisement and review.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second?
Aye.
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 And I'm an aye also.
Next on the agenda is just an update. Chief Buckner had talked to us about the PACE program. We're working through that right now. We have the contract. It's just a little bit funky because it is a defunct entity, and so we want to make sure that we get it right, but we're working on that. The next thing on the agenda is a discussion regarding opioid global settlement and use of funds. I believe individuals are here from the county and other organizations. FSSA, which is the recipient of 50% of the state's funds for the opioid settlements, has to start programs. So they just put out a request for grants at the beginning of February. They're requiring or requesting that the applications be turned in by the end of February. So it's a short turnaround for this grant. It is the first tranche of money that FSSA and the state are putting out there for the state. And so I know that there are people in Morgan County that were going to be putting together an application and wanted to talk to the council about your potential interest in joining that consortium.
Here, and we thank you for the opportunity to speak to you for a minute this evening. My name is G.D. Busey. I'm a board member for an organization called Stability First. You may be familiar with us, at least some of you. Most people are familiar with us because we run the Magdalene House Women's Shelter in Martinsville. Been in existence for about 7 years. We have, I would say, sort of two levels of involvement. On the individual level, we work with people who live in poverty. We run a shelter. As you can imagine, when you run a shelter for women, people don't let their wives and their daughters and their aunties live on the street for no reason. And so we have an in-house addiction recovery program because that's a huge issue that drives homelessness, especially, well, homelessness period. So that's our individual level. But we also have a population level approach to helping people live in poverty. And that's an initiative called the Better Communities Coalition. It has 3 task forces. It has housing, affordable housing, transportation, mental health, and, there's 2 aspects of housing, short-term housing and more long-term approaches to affordable housing. All these impact people, especially people living in poverty. Came out of a community summit that we had called Preparing for the COVID Cliff, because we were worried about when all those benefits went away, what were people going to do? So the Mental Health Task Force has an opportunity to participate in this grant. It's a $25 million opportunity, but the only way our organization can apply for these funds is if local units of government have some, I'll call it skin in the game, some participation. They don't say it's any dollar amount, but it has to be something. This is Trish Runnigan. She's a member actually of the Mental Health Task Force. I think you already have copies of what we think we're going to propose. I hate to say what we think we're going to propose, but when you hear February 1st, it's due February 28th. They weren't even clear that we needed government participation until about a week ago, and then we were like, oh, great. So
Thank you.
we're hoping you'll entertain the notion to at least participate at some level.
You're from the Kendrick Foundation,
I am
correct?
from the Kendrick
Okay.
Foundation, yes.
Thank
I
you.
know you've been in contact with Keely.
Yeah. Are you going to speak a little bit too, or no?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So the Kendrick Foundation, if you guys have heard of us, we're literally around the corner on Main Street. But we fund different initiatives in the community, like scholarships and grants. A lot of that is school-based and just throughout the community, a lot of our nonprofits. But so we have been leading the Morgan County Mental Health Task Force. It started in November of 2021. Since then, we've been meeting every other month. We're now up to 80 individuals who are representing over 40 different organizations in Morgan County. People are passionate about mental health and substance use disorder. I think we'd be hard pressed to find someone in our community who hasn't been impacted by something in mental health or substance use. We have a lot of the data, which you guys are probably very familiar with just how it's impacting our community. From the Community Foundation, they wrote us a letter of support and talking about how Morgan County loses, on average, almost 30 people monthly due to fatal drug overdoses. And we believe that individuals who use recreational drugs and suffer from an addiction disorder began because of an effort to self-medicate against a mental health disorder or from a mental health related issue. And then other data, so we know that basically suicide rates, overdose rates, et cetera, are higher in Morgan County than the state percentages. So we rank about 41st in the state for overall health in general. That includes smoking, alcohol use, obesity, et cetera. So what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to apply for a piece of that $25 million. A part of what the Mental Health Task Force wants to do is we would hire a part-time coordinator to manage and kind of oversee the grant and oversee the task force. We also have a facilitator in mind that we would like to continue with the task force. And then we have 6 different work groups that we have established, and each of them are already established in the community. They're ready to mobilize. And again, it's part of those 80 individuals and 40 organizations are in these 6 different work groups that include things like event planning, outreach awareness, research, funding, advocacy, media, marketing, messaging, treatment and recovery, and prevention. And so with those 6 work groups, we are just really wanting to bring these funds into Morgan County because the need is certainly here. Did I get it all? All right.
So our total grant ask of the state is about $650,000.
For 2 years.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
2 years.
yeah. The project would go from July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2025.
You mind if I say a few words? So, I've received several calls on this from various of the members of the Better Communities Coalition that you're talking about. One of them was Dan Moore, former president of Home Bank. I think he's the current chairman of the board there, but he's also a part of the Better Communities Coalition. And I received calls from others, and then so I called Keely Wright with the Kendrick Foundation yesterday. This came up very quickly because of the way the grant came out and then the requirements. And so you all didn't have hardly any time to put this together, but in my conversation with her, I also called the Morgan County Administrator, Josh Messmer, because the opioid, all these settlements that are coming in, it gets confusing to the public. So this grant is through the state, correct? And this this is separate than, do you remember, the counties approached us about talking about what we all do with the opioid funding that we're getting? This is a separate thing, but it has a chance to bring in a lot of money into the county and to our communities. And so when I found out, hey, they've only got so many days left, that's when, after talking to Keely, that's why I've tried to throw this together to get it into our meeting, because you're running out of time.
Appreciate that.
But I think it's well worthwhile to try to apply for these grants. I'm also told that they're presenting tonight at the commissioners meeting in the county.
Yes.
Trying to get these squeezed in.
Yeah.
Do you know how much they're asking for there? Do you have a dollar amount?
We do not.
Keely had mentioned to me the Morgan County Health, the administrator of that, or the coordinator portion of that that might be a way to contribute to this. Is that what does it matter what portion of your total? I mean, there's a lot of projects buried within this.
Right.
You don't even have to name a project.
Oh,
can
you
just
don't?
say- You can just say, we'd like to put this much money towards this effort. It doesn't have to be designated in any fashion.
Yeah, it's been a little vague from the Division of Mental Health and Addiction when they were asked, is there a match minimum by dollar or percentage? Their response was, there is not a minimum or maximum amount of funds that can be requested for the grant. State awards may be greater than or less than what we request. And then, is the matching requirement 1-to-1? And they said there is not a 1-to-1 match. And again, awards may be greater or less than what we request.
So do you think the buy-in from the municipalities is the most important piece as far as at least recognizing what you're doing and helping you get the grant? Is that what?
I think it's a requirement. So
Okay.
It is.
what's going on is, with the first global settlement you had against McKesson, AmerisourceBergen, and Cardinal Health, it's $26 billion that was spread across the country. Indiana's share was split 50-50, 50% going to the local municipalities and entities, 50% held by the state. You have your restricted funds, your non-restricted funds, all of these other things, but the 50% that was going back, that the state was holding, is held by the FSSA, so the Family Services, Social Services Association. And it's up to them to come up with programming or ways to get that funding to opioid addiction abatement programs. And so this first 25 million is the first set of dollars that they are releasing from their funds, the state funds, and they're doing that in a way of a grant. But you need to have local buy-in because it's that's what the settlement was for. And so getting as much of the localities in Morgan County signed up is going to be important for that. My recommendation to you would be word the grant in the names of the municipalities and the localities, and that you are just the providers that the locals are going to be using. So if Mooresville decides to move on with this, if Morgan County decides, I don't know, are you talking to Martinsville at all?
I think we're going to get on their agenda later this week.
Okay. So if it is that situation where you get those three larger entities on board, I would present your grant application as an application from those communities with this being the plan, so that you guys are the ones that are going to be providing the services with the funds. Additionally, it would be my recommendation that you list, so if you get Martinsville and if Mooresville agrees to move on with this, that you start your grant application with a statement that Mooresville and Martinsville, who were two municipalities that were part of the MDL in the original lawsuit, are teaming up with Morgan County and these providers to abate the process. I don't know this for a fact, but I think that FSSA will listen will give, I don't want to say they're going to give additional weight, but I think it will go a long way if you have an original filer of the opioid litigation that is part of it. And so you guys were in Martinsville. or in more.
Do they, to opt in or do they need a dollar amount from us today?
They did, well, you're gonna need a dollar amount before they finish their grant application. So that they
But
can.
it's, so then that's
put in the
due,
application.
that's due on the 28th.
Correct, yes. So this is the only thing that would need to be filled out.
Can you show that to him,
Yeah,
please?
all of you. Whoever.
I think so.
But yes, that's the only form, but you explained it perfectly. They're going to put more weight and priority toward collaboration among communities and even regional, so.
Well, the good thing, where you were way ahead is where you started meeting a year ago and didn't know this was coming.
Exactly.
So you've got a,
Yes.
you've got a huge coalition of people that are in top positions and mental health positions and all over the place, behind you. I did not want to let this go by, without getting it to the council, that I had 1 day's notice and we didn't get the email till today, so.
Right.
It seems a waste because you could invest proportionately a small amount of your dollars to get a big return because we're digging from another well, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jewel, I have a couple more questions, sorry. So buried within this, all of these organizations, there's a project I've noticed to a tenant of mine, a mental health provider that's a tenant of mine. So I'm super supportive of this, but I also, it's, what would I do as far as the vote goes?
Well, so long as you are not receiving, I mean, they're a tenant of yours whether or not this is
True, yeah,
funded or not.
right.
So long as you are not receiving any kickback or contingency fee based upon your support of this, I think you're fine. I mean, you declare that you have a tenant in this, but they're one part of this larger project.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of, you said 40 organizations, so, I mean, I hate to withhold my vote because of that, but if it needs, I figure, if I disclose it, at least that's up front.
Thoughts on this yet?
I just think it's a good thing. The more we can get involved in this, the better off the community is, the better off we are, the better off our employees, first responders, all of it, as well as the people that need the help. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I agree, 100%. What Jeff just said.
It's short notice, like Shane said, and it seems like that gets us in trouble, but I still don't see a dollar amount. You said that the request on the grant is going to be 600,000, is that correct?
Correct.
600 or 650?
Roughly 650, 645 and.
644, 940
You
over
hear that,
2
Tom?
years. And that is still an approximate number based on who's going to be hiring the staff and housing them, et cetera.
644, 9.
44, 940,
644, 940.
very approximate.
And then that's the total amount that you're requesting, so 300 something each year.
Correct.
It's probably worth noting that all of the organizations are doing some match dollars of our own, over $2 million. Facility First is building a men's shelter. It'll cost us almost $1 million to renovate it. We're asking for $50,000 contribution out of this grant.
Jewel, can the opioid monies that we've already received be used to fund this? I
Yeah.
think we've received roughly, what was it, 30,000? We have a lot more coming, but that we've already
And then
received.
of that 30,000, we are, I mean, is that what is in the restricted fund, or is that a combination of restricted and non-restricted? Okay, but regardless, I think, I haven't gone through this to match it up one-to-one with the allowable uses of the restricted dollars, but if they match up with those uses, then, yeah, you can put both the unrestricted and the restricted opioid settlement dollars, and that's one of the options on the FSSA form, for where the local match is coming from, is the National Opioid Settlement. So The sources of match funds are the opioid settlement, the American Rescue Plan, your local general funds, private contributions, philanthropy, or other. So I think they're contemplating that people will utilize this for utilize opioid funds as a matching part of this grant.
I don't want to, I'm going to ask another question, and I don't want to throw shade on anything here, but what happens if they don't receive the grant? We just don't,
If
they don't get the money?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the local
I don't wanna
contribution or the
put-
matching part is only whether, so it's just like with your community crossings.
Okay.
You have your certain amount that you put up for your matching dollars. If you don't get the grant, you don't have to pay that match fund.
Yeah. I think they deserve it if anybody's listening, so.
Other thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know how we can put a number on that, whether we match as a percentage of whatever they get, up to 10% or up to 20%, or how we need to do that as far as putting a dollar amount for them. On the Division of Mental Health and Addiction, the little green part that was attached to ours, it actually asked for local contribution amount. I don't know if that's just from us or if that's from all the different governments that they may be able to partner with.
In the application, they asked that each local unit of government complete one of those forms. So we would get one from any unit of government that's participating. So it's not a combined form, it's, commitment from Martinsville, commitment from Mooresville, or commitment from Morgan County.
Did you hear that, Tom?
He said each one of us would have to fill this out, and would this have to be filled out and returned with your application by the
Yes,
end of
it
this
does.
month?
Yeah, that has to be returned. So
we need to put a dollar amount on it tonight if we choose to partner with them.
unless you want to call a special call meeting next week before the 28th. And just looking at your fund balances, it looks like under the unrestricted, you have $6,201. Under the restricted settle amounts, you have $25,539.
We've obligated, we haven't obligated, but we said with the 25,000, we would talk to we would work with the county on seeing if they had a project. Now, if they choose this project, that would be fantastic. But I'm afraid that they may have other thoughts on their own. If this is awarded, when do you start receiving your revenues from FSSA?
So the grant period starts July 1 of this year, but it's a reimbursable grant, so you don't get any money back until you provide services.
Until you provide the services.
Do you know how much, they've had this, health task force coordinator in the past, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what it costs to fund that position?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say that? I don't want to get you in trouble.
I think we got approval, right? So, yeah, I believe we got a tentative contract budget from her that would be $12,000 per year. So her total for the 2 years would be 24.
But if we use that as a template for our donation, like fund her for a year, can we do that, or do we not get to say that?
I think that under the form, FSSA is not, they're going to look at what is presented as what the application is, but for these forms, they just want to know what's the dollar amount. So if you want to use that, then the local contribution would be 24.
For the 2 years? I said her, I don't know, maybe it's a
It
he.
is.
I don't.
You are correct.
It is her, okay.
Are the numbers that are in the text that you gave us, Morgan County Mental Health Task Force estimate 115 to 140, 115,000 to 140,000, is that is that what you're applying for then?
Yes.
Are those numbers for that?
Yep, yeah, so we have 4 separate entities, who are all being combined under this one grant proposal. So yeah, you'll see the Mental Health Task Force is the 115 to 140, Stability First is the 121, 550, Youth First is 75, and then we have our last one is Peace Restored for 308, 390.
Jewel, do you have any recommendation on an amount? Do you have any intel on?
I don't have any intel as to what FSSA is going to consider moving forward, but, I think Tom raised a very good point in that when we talk about the opioid settlement funds that you have, last meeting we said we would work with the county. Now, if the counties, I don't know what they have put together. My guess is if they haven't approached you with a grant as of yet, they don't have a grant.
Right.
That's going to be going out to FSSA.
Right.
So I don't know if the county's going to say, hey, let's do this as the first thing for our utilization of the the restricted dollars. So there's a lot up in the air. When are you talking to the commissioners?
They meet tonight too.
Tonight.
We're divide and conquer tonight.
And the county administrator.
Some people down there.
Haley's there now, yes.
The county administrator said that he was going to be part of that presentation. It sounds like to me. He said, "I'm going to."
So if you knew that,
He sounded supportive of it, but he didn't tell me. He viewed this as a separate matter, but also a little bit connected because it's opioid dollars. But I don't think he was opposed to us doing something with it, though. I can say that because he's helping present it to his commissioners.
right? The only issue that I see with that is sources of your matching funds are not limited to the settlement. That's right. So if you don't have an understanding with the county right now as to what their expectations are for any projects they have moving forward, then you may obligate your opioid settlement dollars to this when the county's expecting the same kind of amount. Does that make sense? And so that's the only hesitation that I would have right now is knowing what the structure looks like and approving. And when I say the structure, it's the governmental participation in this, whether Morgan County is going to be a part of this, whether Martinsville is going to be a part of this, whether the other communities in Morgan County are going to be a part of this. And if they are going to be a part of it, then where are those funds coming? And, because the totality of those funds are going to be what the match is.
Can the funds come from ARPA,
Funds can come from ARPA,
the general
the
fund?
general funds. You would have to, now, you can't just take from the general fund. We'd have to find the appropriated line items or
Right.
appropriate additional dollars.
Could we opt in with a dollar amount and then see where the county's funding it and decide which account it's coming from later, or no?
Yeah, you can, I think you can decide which account it's going to come, well, no, you got to check on here where those funds are. So, it may be an option to say, hey, we like this program, if you guys do like this program, to say we are going to use matching funds, this is the amount we're going to put, it's going to come out of our opioid settlement, and you get on the horn with Josh to say, hey, this is what we think it should be, the usage of our opioid dollars that we talked about in that last discussion, at least for this part, because we're taking those funds to try and turn them into additional funds that are coming out of the state.
Was that discussion held before the additional Meyer funding?
Yeah, you did not obligate any of your Meyer dollars towards this.
So we're gonna have opioid money coming in anyway.
Yes, you're gonna have additional opioid dollars that are going to be coming in, a substantial amount on the Meyer settlement. But I don't know the timing of that. And so I don't want you spending money. I guess it doesn't matter what I want. I would recommend that you not spend funds that you don't have in.
I understand.
I don't know when.
Well, we have money.
I admire what you all do. Our company gives second chances, and I see a lot. I've seen a lot this week already. A lot of people need help. Some people. 2.2
Got a one.
They have
12,000.
Heartbreaking, the things people will go through. You know, I mean, I'm all for it myself.
Do you want a motion? Yeah.
I have a dollar amount. That's what they need in order to complete their grant application.
I'll make a motion and see where it goes, if you want to accept one. So, to fund the coordinator is $12,000 a year, correct?
Yes.
So, I think, I would make a motion that we opt into the grant with a $12,000 pay for that position for a year out of ARPA funds, which would take a process to do. We'd have to appropriate that, and then that way we could opt in tonight with the dollar amount and do something useful with it. And we don't have to worry about the county obligations of the opioid.
We don't have to appropriate the money anywhere tonight, we just need to set a dollar amount.
Yeah, because
I think the motion is $12,000 as the local contribution amount coming out of,
Second.
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's a long way down there.
I'm just concerned if we're not doing enough, but I guess we can, at least this will get them on the boards and see what happens from there. Aye.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. My name's Ann, I'm with Peace Restored, and I don't mean to interject, but I'm sorry for being late. I was 3 hours with a crisis client tonight, so I'm one of the mental health providers, which is why I'm late. I just wanted to make a quick comment, if I could, before the vote was finalized. I would just want to encourage you and just speak very highly of the work that the Kendrick Foundation has been doing on the Mental Health Task Force, and say that any of the money that you give back to this grant will be well used, because there's so many of us who have been working collaboratively together very diligently over several months. And I know the money would be used highly and do well into our community to make an impact. Be able to see some great things being done to make some changes that I think all of us can acknowledge that need to be done. But I just wanted to interject that really quick. So,
It's already passed.
I still wanted to interject, sorry.
Very good.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So you guys are going to need this form though, correct?
probably gonna need the green one there.
Yeah, I'm going to leave out the name of applicant organization.
Okay.
And just fill this out for the applying municipality. And then decide how you're going to apply for it. I would fill in that.
Side discussion going on.
Can we amend and do it 2 years instead of the 1 year?
Well, well, I will say this, you have a vote to fund 1 year, and so you've approved 1 year. If there's another vote or motion out there to do something other than that, I would say that that would be in addition to the action that you've taken right now. I want to make a motion that you fund the second year for the 12,000, then that would be a separate vote, and then
I make the motion, we fund the second year of 12,000. I mean, we have the money. It's a great cause. It's gonna be well used.
And is that coming out of ARPA funds as well?
Correct.
I'll second.
I agree with that, and I think with who's doing the work, I strongly agree with what they're doing. I know what their cause is, and I stand behind it. With Tom's comment that he was concerned that it wasn't enough, I agree with Tom. So I'm in favor for the second year also, aye.
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 I'm aye also. Thank you.
If you stay longer, maybe you can get more.
This part out right now.
Anyone else have anything else they need to interject? Thank you, gentlemen, so much. We very, very much appreciate you. And we'll keep you updated on our workings.
Good.
Because I know you need to leave with this, if you can do us a favor, scan this in and send a copy so Diana has it for her records.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not done yet, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Couple other things to put on your radars. The fiscal study for the super voluntary annexation of the property out there, that is the petition that you've already had your initial hearing for, is going to be completed at the end of this week. We will most likely need to have a special call meeting next week because it has to be passed prior to March 4th, because that's 60 days.
Oh.
So 60 days from the petition. And so keep an eye out for that, because we'll have to get that and accept the plan from Baker Tilly and then take action on the annexation ordinance. But
Need to schedule that tonight, or?
no, because
you
I
gotta
want to
wait?
make sure that we have the
Okay.
plan in hand prior to scheduling it, so that we don't schedule it and we not have a plan and you can't take action. So keep that on your radar. I know that redevelopment and the developer are looking for that, but the statute allows us 60 days to get that done. Other issue that I want to discuss with you is, at the last meeting, we talked about the train contract or the train proposal. And I had a meeting with both them and GM Development last week. It is a little bit different than what I thought was being presented. So what they are talking about is not a pre-bid project. It is a project in which a partner for the town would handle all of the bidding. So this would fall under the public-private partnership type situation. And so you have several different options under a public-private partnership. You have what they call the BOT, or Build, Operate, Transfer. You have energy savings contracts. So you have all of these different things where you, as a town, decide we need certain work done. We're putting out an RFQ or an RFP, so request for quotes or proposals, to come up with a solution for what we need. In response to that, you will, and doing that under like a Build, Operate, Transfer agreement. The entities who respond, such as Train is one of them, there are a bunch of other ones out there that do this work. They will respond with a plan that will take care of the issues that you have. So I know that there's been discussion about taking care of all of the mechanical in all of the town buildings. So if you build that into your RFP, that's what they're going to give you. And then they will be responsible for going, it's a guaranteed not to exceed price. They're responsible then to go out and get all the bids and meet all the requirements that way. That's where the bidding doesn't occur here. When you talk about projects like that, generally you're talking about large dollar amounts. And Train acknowledged that. That's why they had GM there. GM does a lot of financing for that stuff. So usually when you talk about a BOT project or an energy savings project, you are talking about projects in which you will eventually have to take out a bond to finance it. I don't think, while you have a cash balance, I don't think it is going to be large enough to take on this project without depleting it to the point in which you're below where you should be on your reserves. So the decision that needs to be made is whether or not you want to proceed with putting out an RFP or RFQ for the work that was being considered by Train. In making that, you aren't obligating yourself to taking out a bond or other financing, but be mindful that, especially if you're looking and that RFP says all of the buildings for the town, it's going to be a larger dollar amount. Happy to answer any questions on that.
Once the bid.
Sure.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
think when we originally started with this, we were talking about the ARP money that we received $2.2 million. I mean, are you thinking, did a conversation that you had with them lead you to believe that that was not a sufficient amount of money?
The conversation I had with them leads me to believe that it may not be a sufficient amount of money. And we will know after we put an RFP out on the street and people come back with a plan of how to address it. If it is, great, but through some of the discussions, I have the feeling they didn't say a number, they didn't put a number out there, but it was, I would guess that you're looking at 5 to 10.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I may be wrong, I'm not an engineer, that's just kind of the gut I had through those discussions.
We need our money back.
Can we do the RFP or RFQ for any and all or any and none?
Yes. I see what you're saying. So can we put the RFP out there that says, we want a proposal for all of the town, but also within your proposal, give it to us as a breakdown for each individual building?
That's
kind of like that?
That's what it was sold to us as.
Correct.
Yeah, we can construct the RFP however we want to do it. So we can put it in there where we get an option for each individual building and then the entire project to go through. So we can do it all. And then you again, it doesn't obligate you to doing any. The RFP is just going out and getting the information, and then you guys make a decision later moving forward.
Well, that would be the direction that I'd want to see it go.
I would agree with that, and Tom, when I sat down with Train, that's exactly how they explained it. They would go walk all of our buildings, have separate, you need this, and this, and we decide what we want to go with, if any at all. So, I think some of our systems and some of our buildings are in desperate need of being replaced and worked on and brought up to code here, I believe. So.
And the benefit of this process is, I'm not saying that you don't decide on Trey may be the right one.
Sure.
You're gonna get responsive from Trey and from a bunch of other people as well.
Okay.
So you're gonna get to read these and take a look and see, and digest as to what you want.
Right, and I agree with Tom.
So with that, if that's the way you want to proceed, I would recommend a motion to allow me to prepare an RFP for a BOT project for the town. You can say just so moved.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Second? Jeff?
Aye.
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 Tom?
Aye. And I'm an aye also. Now I'm done. All right, yeah.
Public comments, do we have any?
With legal, I had a question real quick. I'm just gonna bring it up. The trustee, the Brown Township trustee contacted me. I think he's talked to you about the moving forward with the fire territory. He's saying he wants to put a pause on that and set a calendar for next year. What does that do to the process if he?
Well, to move forward, you need both entities moving in lockstep.
Yeah.
So you guys took a vote that was 5-0 to move forward. If Brown Township is deciding that they don't want to move forward with the enactment of the summer of 2024, then that's a decision that will kind of stop what you guys are doing. But if the Brown Town, that's going to be a determination from the Brown Township as to whether or not they're going to be participating moving forward. And Chief, I don't know if they've stopped it or not. I haven't been part of those discussions.
Does the township board stop it, or can the trustee himself stop it?
I think it probably need a vote from the board. I don't know if they've had a vote to.
I don't think they have. And I think one of the issues was last meeting, we had a split-second decision to advertise the following day to meet the guideline. Unbeknownst to Brown, we went ahead and moved forward because we were already here at the meeting. I think what we want to do is continue talks with the committee to prepare a timeline to present next year for a 2025 vote. Or to take over in 2025. The timeline will be next year, not this year. It's a 2-year process, my understanding.
Okay, so it's a little, well.
It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, and procedurally, it gets a little bit confusing too, because you took action last meeting to move forward 5-0. So I don't know that, like, the entire process will stop if Brown Township doesn't participate, right? That automatically will create it to stop. I don't know of the action that you could take to stop it, since you voted to approve it last meeting, because Brown Township may be, like, if Brown Township is moving forward with this, then it may be a situation that if you try and do something now, it puts them in a bind, right?
I don't think they voted to move forward with it, no.
I don't think they voted.
Their board has not, no.
But it's our understanding that the trustee can stop it, and that you need the trustee to be on board, or it doesn't happen anyway. He's an elected official as well.
Correct. But the board is the advisory council that goes through, so
Okay.
I think there's a vote of the count. Well, I know that there is a vote of the board to proceed, I think, but I don't know if there's a vote to not proceed. Does that make sense?
They only meet like once a quarter, don't they?
Yeah, they meet
They just
very
had a meeting.
rarely.
Well, I mean, they can help.
Shane, did you say you talked to the trustee?
Yes, he talked to me directly, and I think.
Yes, I've talked to him directly today, too.
he just, he just,
They're out?
he says that he says he wants to bring it up for next year so that it would go into effect the following year if it goes through. He wasn't real happy with the way the timeline was crunched. That was my understanding.
That was my understanding also, and we're far from ready to present to the public on any of this.
We don't have a meeting to stop it? Or
Well, I mean, I guess I don't,
Can we not just vote, make a new motion to withdraw and continue talks and withdraw ourselves from it? Because if we withdraw, they can't go forward anyway. It only takes one, I think.
I guess my concern is if they are moving forward with certain steps based upon your vote last meeting, that puts them in a bind. Like, I don't know what they're operating.
They're not moving forward with anything per our conversation today.
That's what my concern would be, is just kind of a whole detrimental reliance type thing. But if you guys are confident on that, I mean, you can.
The trustee sure was confident.
Yeah.
He called me after the last meeting, and then he spoke to him again today.
Yeah, I talked to him today.
we're not moving forward, that puts us at a,
It's just sitting.
Well, technically, you're moving forward, you're just
Yeah, it's not,
slowing it down, you know.
yeah,
It
it's
won't
just,
take effect next year, it'd be the year after. So it's-
right, and probably later this year, you
Right.
would start the process of announcing the public hearings and all of those things again.
Yeah, there's a lot to do, and
Well, I think we should have probably started earlier, so that we didn't get caught in that. It's just the timeline is so complex and it has to be done at a certain time. And it got confusing there. And do you want a motion and then have the attorney contact their board or?
Yeah, Beth has been the one working with this. She's worked with the township trustee and the township's attorney on some of this stuff. But yeah, if you want to take action on that to delay the process, I can't tell you, no, you can't do that. That's just my one concern, is that we run into something with them.
or do we have to have him come here and tell us? I mean, he's told you to, but I haven't heard from him, so I mean.
if we're not coming to the table, we have nobody to negotiate with.
Yeah.
I mean,
What I think should have happened, and I should have said something last meeting, it didn't come to me during the meeting, is that we should have scheduled a joint meeting and advertised a public meeting and announced together so that this didn't happen, That's what I think should have happened, but it didn't get presented to us that way during that meeting, and I didn't realize that we were even going to be presented to until the meeting, but I should have thought of that. I would make a motion to delay the process and continue negotiations with Brown Township and the Brown Township trustee to begin the process again, potentially for next year. Does that satisfy what you want, Jewel? Does that satisfy the way you just?
Yeah, I think it's a proper motion. I just want to make sure it's not in the record that you're asking me if.
No, but the motion satisfies what the legal requirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about that? It got advertised, right?
What's that?
It got advertised.
It got advertised.
What's that gonna be?
We'll have to have a notice out there, additional notification that this is being placed on hold. just a cancellation.
Second. Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Aye.
I know that legal counsel is showing a little bit of concern here on moving forward. I guess I'm confused as what happened at our last meeting, whether, Julie, you're saying that if Brown Township is not in the process of moving forward, or if they are in the process of still moving forward, this stops everything.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, and that's my concern.
Seems like everything gets pushed to the last minute and then we make bad mistakes. I'm a no. Greg, if you want to go on with the vote, I'm a nay.
You're certain that
Yeah, they're not moving forward. That's correct.
not moving forward?
And when they looked at the paperwork for Paige last meeting that didn't get called, the timeline crunch was when Matt walked in, we had to make a decision this meeting, and he confronted me right here. Well, without talking to that board, we didn't have enough time, so we thought we were moving forward with it. It's cramming it down their throat, and that's not good. And we don't want to do that. We want to slow it down, take our time, work through the process, so everything is out on Front Street, and that's what this committee's going to do. We're going to have joint meetings, yes.
Their board has got the same
Per their trustee, yes.
trustee and their board.
That's correct. Yeah. So it was a split-second decision. That meeting is why it went down, Tom.
Do they have any public comments? No? Yeah, just make sure you got, some of those are for approval of payroll clearing. When you make a motion,
Did he do it or not? No, he's running the meeting, so.
yeah. Motion for approval of 3 different claims, one at a time.
Should be 2 payroll clearing, because we missed one last meeting, and then the regular docket.
I make a motion, we pay the payable vouchers for $642,069.08.
Motion, second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion for, or,
Wait, we gotta clear this vote.
yeah, go ahead. Aye, sorry.
Tom?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Now we need a motion for the,
Payroll
payroll
clearing.
clearing.
Make the motion, or payroll clearing for $223,947.98.
Payroll clearing, you have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
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 And I'm an aye.
Another motion for payroll clearing for $207,210.36.
Second?
Second.
Aye.
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 And I'm an aye. Town council comments.
I just have one, last meeting we had on the agenda where we had an opportunity to take care of our town employees with a COVID bonus or stipend. That's the second time that we've had this on the agenda. We did it last year. Some of the members wanted to wait till the end of the year and readdress it. That never happened. We had a change of board, brought it back up. We had an opportunity to take care of our employees, and we let them down. That money was earmarked for that. Other communities used that money for a bonus, and we didn't do it when we should. We can't compete with the other communities around us, pay-wise, salary-wise, and when we've got an opportunity to take care of our employees, I think we got to take advantage of that. So I look forward to this being back on the agenda soon, and so we can get this, make a wrong or right. That's all I've got.
I want to thank the council for the decision tonight to opt into the mental health and the drug addiction grant and for the folks that came in tonight. I think it's extremely important. I think Morgan County is largely, I call it a black hole for mental health, and I think it's a step in the right direction to take care of our people. So thanks to all the organizations involved. There's a ton of them. But Kendrick Foundation, the Better Communities Coalition, there's a whole bunch of them, and I'm going to miss them, okay? But thanks to all those, and all those volunteers who have been going to the meetings. There's dozens and dozens and dozens volunteering, so I'm glad we squeezed it in, I really am. But I want to thank the council for, I think we took a leadership role on this in Mooresville, and I'm proud of that, so thanks.
I'll just second what Shane said. I mean, it's about giving back to our community, helping this town, this county. I'm all for making it better.
Tom?
I have nothing.
Same with them on going in with this. I think it's very important. I see a lot every week that people need help and guidance, and some of them want it, some of them don't. They don't see a problem, but I think you do good work. Thank you. Okay, next meeting date, Tuesday, March the 7th.
With the
Potential, well, with
Potential of the other.
yes, a special call
fill-in
next week.
meeting, yeah.
So,
Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned.
All right, Tom, I'm shutting this
Anybody-
down, thanks.
Has any pain from me being up here doing this? See Chief Dalton, he's got first aid training.
What do you think? Aye. Yeah. Oh, okay, so
I think I've seen some pictures, right? So, yeah.
okay, good, because that number I was calling.
Tammy Van Hook. That's T Van Hook at mooresville.in.gov.
See you guys.
Oh, okay. .in.gov.
Yeah.
Mooresville.
Yeah.
.in.
Yeah, just
.gov.
being funny or whatever.